Level 1. The trainee. You step off a government-chartered bus into the freezing pine-scented air of Camp Peary, Virginia. The farm. You are 24 years old, clutching a master's degree from Georgetown, a flawless academic record, and a pristine moral compass. You believe your intellect, your profound patriotism, and your idiomatic fluency in Farsi are what make you special. You think you are here to serve your country. You think wanting to be the good guy will be enough. It won't be. The instructors who greet you don't look like James Bond. They look like middle school math teachers and tired accountants. They do not yell. They do not care about your GPA, your track and field medals, or your deeply held ideals about freedom. They care about one thing: your capacity to manipulate human trust without leaving a fingerprint. Everything from this moment forward is designed to dismantle your civilian identity and replace it with a void that can hold someone else's secrets. Your first practical exercise is in firing a Glock 19 or picking a Medico lock. It's sitting in a windowless room with beige carpet that smells faintly of ozone and stale coffee. Across from you sits a stranger. Your objective is not to interrogate them. Your objective is to convince them to tell you their deepest, most ruinous secret, simply by mirroring their body language, matching their vocal cadence, and exploiting the microscopic insecurities flickering in their eyes. You spend 3 hours calibrating your empathy, like a sniper calibrating a scope. You find the pressure point, a subtle flinch when their father is mentioned. You lean into it. You manufacture a perfectly calibrated story about your own fictional father to create a false bridge of intimacy. The stranger breaks. They confess to something that would destroy their marriage. When you walk out of that room, your hands are shaking, but it isn't from guilt. It's from the intoxicating, terrifying dopamine rush of absolute control. You successfully hacked a human soul. You stare at your reflection in the bathroom mirror, and the first crack in your foundation appears. If I can fake vulnerability that perfectly, what else am I capable of faking? Level 2, the junior case officer. You graduate. You are officially a clandestine service officer. You get your first posting under official cover as a cultural attach at a gray, brutally cold embassy in Eastern Europe. The cinematic espionage fantasy dies the moment you step inside the CIA-sensitive compartmented information facility. There are no Aston Martins. There are no tailored tuxedos. There is only endless, crushing bureaucracy, writing encrypted cables, and drinking terrible burnt coffee while reading thousands of pages of intercepted emails under fluorescent lights that hum at a frequency that gives you a permanent migraine. You are the lowest operational entity on the totem pole. The senior officers in the station, the ones with 10 deployments and dead eyes, look right through you. They speak in acronyms and silences. They have the kind of quiet stillness that only comes from having ruined lives and gotten away with it. You desperately want to be them. They hand you your first target. He is not a terrorist mastermind. He is a mid-level Ministry of Defense clerk drowning in gambling debt. You do not speak to him. For 4 agonizing months, you simply watch. You learn the rhythm of his desperation. You know he takes the Blue Line train at 7:14 a.m. You know he buys a stale pastry at 7:42 a.m. You know the exact belittling tone his wife uses on the phone when she asks about money. You know his mortgage is 3 months in arrears. You compile a psychological dossier thick enough to stop a bullet. You map his vulnerabilities. And then the chief of station authorizes the bump, the orchestrated, seemingly accidental meeting where you will make first contact. If you blow the bump, if your timing is off by a second, if your smile is a fraction too eager, the clerk will spook. You will burn the operation, and you will be recalled to Langley to ride a desk until you retire. Level 3, the handler. The bump goes perfectly. You drop your umbrella at the exact moment he reaches the crosswalk. He picks it up. You offer to buy him a coffee to say thank you. You don't use a gun to capture him. You use a sympathetic ear, a meticulously researched understanding of his favorite soccer team, and eventually an envelope containing $2,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills. You recruit him. You become his best friend, his confessor, and his banker. The adrenaline of that first operational success is a chemical hook deeper than any narcotic. You become a master of MICE. Money, ideology, coercion, ego. The four levers that move the world. You realize with chilling clarity just how fragile a human life is. Everyone has a price, a hidden pressure point, or a secret they will betray their flag to protect. You get promoted, the environment changes. You move from the gray slush of Eastern Europe to the blinding heat of the Middle East. The targets get harder. The counterintelligence threats get lethal. The tradecraft begins to infect your brain. It is no longer something you do. It is how your neurology operates. You go home to Virginia on leave for the holidays. You sit at the kitchen table. Your mother pours you a cup of tea and asks a completely innocent question. "How was your Tuesday, honey?" In the span of a second, your brain instantly calculates 3 different lies. You weigh the conversational vectors of each. Lie A will prompt follow-up questions about a fake coworker. Lie B will make her worry about your stress levels. Lie C is utterly bland, closes the conversational loop, and requires 0 emotional investment. You choose lie C. You look your mother in the eyes and deliver it flawlessly. You do it because it's efficient. You realize, as you sip your tea, that you no longer know how to tell the truth without performing a risk assessment first. Level 4. The burned asset, your 5th tour. You have a star asset. He is a high-ranking foreign intelligence officer who has fed you top-tier, actionable intelligence for 3 years. He considers you his closest friend. You have met his wife. You know the names of his 2 young daughters. On a Tuesday at 4 p.m., the secure comms channel flashes. The local counterintelligence net has completely compromised him. They know he is a mole. The secret police are closing in. You draft a flash precedence cable to headquarters. You urgently request a full exfiltration package, fake passports, a border run in a diplomatic vehicle, immediate sanctuary. Headquarters denies the request. The cables explain the math. Your asset is deemed more valuable as a decoy. If the secret police arrest him, it will satisfy their hunt and protect a higher-ranking mole, an asset you didn't even know existed operating in the same government ministry. The chief of station gives you your orders. You are to meet your asset at the pre-arranged safe house for your scheduled check-in. You are to act completely normal. You are to keep him entirely unaware of the net closing around him, so he doesn't panic and flee, which would alert the police to the second mole. You go to the safe house. Your asset arrives sweating, anxious but trusting. He asks if everything is okay. He asks if the Americans have his back. You look him dead in the eye. You channel the 24-year-old trainee in that windowless room. You match his body language. You lower your voice to a soothing, authoritative register. You are completely safe, you tell him. We have eyes on everything. Go home, kiss your girls. We meet same time next week. You shake his hand. You feel the warmth of his skin. You walk away. He is arrested at 3 a.m. He is executed in a basement the following morning. That night, you sit in your apartment. You pour 4 fingers of scotch. You drink it until your throat burns and your vision blurs, waiting for the guilt to crush you. But the terrifying part isn't the guilt. The terrifying part is the clinical, empty silence where your soul used to be. You did the math. The math was correct. The mission continues. Level 5. The ghost in the house. This isn't a rank. This is the collateral damage. This is the part the recruitment brochures at Georgetown never mentioned. The psychological rot begins to destroy your personal life. You are married now, but your spouse knows they are living with a hollowed-out shell. They find you awake at 3 a.m., standing by the living room window, staring down the suburban driveway, scanning the tree line for surveillance vehicles that do not exist in Fairfax County. You cannot sleep unless your back is to a wall. You mentally catalog the exits in every restaurant. You memorize the license plates of the cars parked on your street. The divorce isn't explosive. There is no screaming match. It is a quiet, inevitable death. Your spouse sits across from you at the dining table, crying softly, begging you to just be honest for 5 minutes. Who are you? They ask. Where did you go? You physically cannot answer. You are bound by a lifetime non-disclosure agreement. But the gag order goes deeper than federal law. You have forgotten how to speak without an agenda. You don't know how to exist without a cover identity. You sign the divorce papers in a sterile, brightly lit lawyer's office. You feel a flicker of sadness, but it is immediately swallowed by a dominant, overwhelming sensation: tactical relief. Your operational security is no longer compromised by a civilian presence. You are finally free to be completely empty. Level 6. Chief of Station. You reach the pinnacle. Senior Intelligence Service, CSU, are in 0 to 6 equivalent. You are the Chief of Station in a highly volatile, strategically critical region. You don't recruit assets in grocery stores anymore. You command the ghosts who do. You live in a secure bubble of encrypted feeds, drone footage, and geopolitical chess. A massive regional crisis erupts. A hostile nation is preparing a preemptive strike that will cost thousands of American lives. To secure the vital strategic advantage, to force the enemy's hand and reveal their exact deployment vectors, you must authorize a counterintelligence operation that will deliberately expose a network of a dozen of your own low-level assets. It is a calculated sacrifice. The cold equation: burn 12 to save 10,000. You sit at your secure terminal in the CF. The operations officer stands beside you, waiting for the authorization. You read the names of the assets. They are drivers, clerks, janitors, people who trusted the United States, people with families. You type your authorization code. You press enter. You don't hesitate. Your hand does not shake. You glance at your smartwatch. Your pulse remains at a steady, resting 65 beats per minute. You look at your reflection in the black glass of the monitor. You realize you have become the exact same terrifying, dead-eyed senior officer you met on your first day at that freezing embassy decades ago. You are no longer a person. You are an algorithm of statecraft. You are perfectly efficient, and you are perfectly monstrous. Level 7. The Civilian Mandatory Retirement. 30 years of service. The ceremony is small, held in a windowless, secure room on the 7th floor of Langley. There is no press, no public acknowledgement. The director of the Central Intelligence Agency shakes your hand and pins the Distinguished Intelligence Cross to your lapel. The citation describes acts of invisible heroism that shaped world history. An hour later, a shadow box is assembled. Your medal, your challenge coins, your fake passports, your entire adult life reduced to artifacts behind glass. You take the box back to your quiet, safe, suburban home in Virginia. You place it inside a heavy biometric safe bolted to the concrete floor of your study. You lock it. You can never ever tell anyone what you did to earn that metal cross. You take a highly paid private sector job, consulting for a defense contractor. They pay you 4 times your government salary for your security clearance and your contacts. The work is utterly meaningless. It feels like playing with plastic toys. You are a weapon with no war. You sit in corporate boardrooms listening to executives panic over quarterly profit margins, and you have to force yourself not to laugh in their faces. The silence of civilian life is deafening. The adrenaline has left your bloodstream, leaving behind a permanent, aching withdrawal. You run 10 miles a day just to feel your heart beat. Level 8. The cycle. Your estranged daughter visits for the first time in 4 years. She brings her new fiancé. He is a perfectly normal, smiling, soft-handed accountant from Ohio. He has never been shot at. He has never lied to a dying man. He wears a pastel polo shirt. Over dinner, he pours the wine and politely asks what you did for the government before you retired. You don't blink. You give the standard rehearsed cover story. Logistics for the State Department, you say smoothly, offering a warm, crinkling smile. Mostly paperwork and supply chain management. Very boring stuff. The fiancé laughs. He believes you completely. Your daughter looks down at her plate. At 11:30 p.m., they go to sleep in the guest room upstairs. You do not go to sleep. You walk down to your home office. You lock the door. You boot up a secure laptop running on an encrypted VPN. You log into a backdoor financial database you still have access to. You run a deep biometric credit and criminal background check on the accountant from Ohio. You hack his mobile phone records for the past 36 months. You cross-reference his geolocation data. When you find absolutely nothing suspicious, you are not relieved. You are paranoid. You walk out to the driveway in the dead of night. The suburban street is dead quiet. You slide under the chassis of the fiancé Honda Civic and magnetically attach a microscopic GPS tracker to the interior of the wheel. Well, you do this not out of malice. You do it because you literally do not know how to trust another human being ever again. Verification is the only love language you have left. As you walk back into your empty, silent house, watching the tiny green dot blink on your tablet screen, the cycle begins again. Somewhere in the freezing pre-dawn air of Virginia, a bus is pulling up to the gates of Camp Peary. A new class of 24-year-olds is stepping onto the asphalt. They are shivering, they are clutching their Ivy League degrees. They are standing perfectly straight, hearts pounding, absolutely convinced that their intellect, their morals, and their patriotism will be enough. They don't know the truth yet. They don't know that the agency doesn't want their patriotism. It wants their humanity. They don't know that the metals stay locked in the dark and the lies follow you into the light. They just know they want to serve. That's enough to start. It was never enough to survive, but they'll learn, they always do.